Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. This is our webinar day. Every second week, we are doing a particular clause. This week it is clause 7.5, documented information, and this is to understand the ISO high-level structure. As in all the ISO structures since 2015. I just want to get my laser right there. My name is Nico Snyman, and I will be the webinar host for today. You can see there all the particulars there. At the bottom is my phone number, our website address, as well as my email address. If you've got any questions, please send me an email or WhatsApp. You can do that. So the agenda for today is who is Crest Advisory Africa and the CAA offerings. Secondly, understanding clause 7.5 and the three sub-clauses that is within 7.5. The practical examples and audit evidence. Then we're going to deal with risk, legal and regulatory alignment. Then the practical implementation model for clause 7.5, and then ISMS integration, strategic value, and questions if you have got. Now, who is Crest Advisory? For everybody that has joined us previously, I had a slide explaining that Crest Advisory Africa is specializing in ISO standards. We are doing training, consulting, auditing, and we have got GRC software under the name isolytics.com that you can go and check there. And then we are doing international certifications as well. So, understanding clause 7.5, documented information. This clause is in every standard, really. Every standard that you can certify against. Whether it is before 2015 or after 2015, this is a standard clause. So guys, this is also where everything that you have done from clause 4.1 culminates in evidence. If you don't have evidence, you will not be certified. That's a guaranteed. So the practical focus on clause 7.5, documented information, is why is clause 7.5 is where ISO gets serious about evidence. Without evidence, as I said, sorry, you can turn around, you can go away. So what we need in the information is firstly, the right information exists. We are examining to determine, are you addressing every clause in the standard? If there's a shall, that is a requirement, no negotiation, we want to see a document for that, or somewhere in documentation where you have addressed that, whether it is in a manual, whether it is in a separate document, it doesn't matter. We want to see evidence. And that evidence, that it is controlled. Now, controlled means here that you have got that document is numbered, a unique number for each and every document with a version number, with a sign off, with a whole process, with records that when you are changing something in a document, that you've got change management there as well. And then that whole process can be trusted. So clause 7.5 is not about paperwork, really. It is all about information, integrity, control, and evidence. If you are deeming something to be important, it needs to be controlled. If it needs to be controlled, it can be trusted. Now, clause 7.5 requires in plain language, maintain documented information required by the management system. It doesn't matter which management system, whether you've got one management system like 22301, that's business continuity, or 27001, or that you've got an integrated management system, it doesn't matter. You must maintain the documentation, and the documentation that we've been speaking about in clause 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, 4.4, everything there, the scope, the policy, roles and responsibilities, everything needs to be documented, because that is your guiding principle to keep people going in the same direction as what you are going in the business. Without paperwork, my friends, everybody has got its own map to where they want to go. I can guarantee you that. Retain documented information as evidence of conformity. Now, evidence of conformity is that where there's a shell in the standard, you need to comply and to conform to what the shell is requiring. So if the shell is requiring that you need to have a policy document, then where's your policy document? That you need to have a scope document, then where's your scope? That you need to have roles and responsibilities, where's your roles and responsibilities document? It's as easy as that. Ensure that information, dot number 3, ensure that information is available and suitable for use. Very important there. If this is for the company, it needs to be on a company something, on a company template, on a company name, on a company letterhead, on a template, something that is referring back to the company and that it is signed off and that it is controlled. One of my clients here in the 2020s, we were doing stage 1, and these guys were so nonchalant about their ISO system that they wrote their departmental objectives. That is super important. Their departmental objectives on a piece of white paper, handwritten, not signed off, not dated, not anything. And they were thinking that that thing is now evidence. It's not, because that thing is not controlled. And I will get to that last one there at the bottom. So protect it adequately. Now that means the confidentiality, integrity, and accessibility. How are you protecting what you need to protect? Are you going to leave your wallet and your passport, etc., just lying around? I don't think so. The documentation is exactly the same. So control it through its life cycle. Now, the life cycle that we're talking about there is from conception to destruction, the whole thing. From where you had the idea of we need to have this kind of document, an SOP for, it doesn't matter what, for using a safe or booking out diamonds out of the vault. That is a process that needs to be documented. Is it important? Absolutely. It is your core business of your business. If you are in the diamond trade, the last one there at the bottom here, if it matters, it must exist. And if it exists, it must be controlled. And controlled means that there's a life cycle. You have put it into play, into your business environment on the 1st of August of 2023. It is a 3-year life cycle for that document. It must be reviewed and updated before the 1st of August 2026. 3 years, and if it's not that document is not valid anymore. So the big ISO shift from documents and records to documented information. The old thinking is that procedures, manuals, paper records, that is making the ISO system. Not at all. The modern ISO is digital systems, databases, dashboards, logs, workflow systems, automated evidence. All of those things are usually in graphs, and we will talk about that in clause 9.1. But all of these things, whether you are using SharePoint, whether you are using a bespoke document management system, DMS, in your business, whether you are using Power BI, whether you are using, it doesn't matter what, there needs to be logs and there needs to be dashboards, and you can have the analysis. That is your prerogative. If you are sitting with documentation and you deem that as important, then you need to control it. So paper is optional, control is not. So when we are going into companies to do external audits, we don't want to be met by files and files and files and files and leverage files here and all those kind of things. No, man, that is so old school. You can have everything electronic. So do it electronic. You don't need to. And I want to see that you are actually progressing as well in the modern ISO environment. Clause 7.5 has 3 subclauses. The first one is the general clause. What documented information must exist? And that is up to you. And that is also up to the standard, because you need to conform to the standard. Where there's a shall, you need to have a document that is explaining that. The second one, 7.5.2, is creating and updating. And this is a super important environment, because this is where you are actually looking at the identification. Who's the author? What is the control number? When did it go in? When was it signed off? Who developed it? Who signed it off? Formatted, reviewed, and approved. Everything there is to create and update. And updating is 3 years in the future. If you have made that document valid for 3 years, it can be updated anytime. But if you have given it a date for 3 years, then it needs to be reviewed before 3 years. So very important there. It is not only for now in this specific environment that we are sitting now in the first document that you are processing. Nope. That is for the life cycle and the lifetime of that document. And then control, 7.5.3, control. How information is accessed, protected, retained, and disposed of. And guys, just remember, if you are sitting with paper, depending on the classification of that document, whether it is a public document, whether it's a secret document, I was fortunate in my life to have worked in government, and we were working with secret and top secret documents. Those things were separated from everything else. They were having a different set of rules for everything else there. So if you are working with a secret, top secret, confidential, it doesn't matter what classification document is there. If you are working with a document, you must look at and adhere to the rules of what is the classification of the document. If you are disposing of it, it must be done in the same way as well. So a secret document could be having a shredder that is doing these line cuts. But if you are sitting with a top secret document, then there are better and more efficient shredders in the market that can actually destroy the whole thing, that it is actually cut into confetti, that nobody can go and sit with a document and try and puzzle it together. Nobody can do that. And this is why it is so important, the methodology about how do you retain it? How do you dispose of it? The retention of it, many companies are making use of external warehouses where they are keeping the paper documents, like core documents and medical documents and those kind of things. If those things are classified as confidential, secret, and top secret, then the person that is actually transporting that document from that warehouse to your office, he must have the same kind of classification, because he is sitting with a document for an hour, for 2 hours before it is getting to your environment, to your offices. So make sure about that, please. And then auditors assesses all 3 together. We are looking at all of these things and we are seeing, but this, not so much controlled. 7.5.1, the general requirements there. ISO gives the minimum. You can exceed that. It doesn't matter, really. The organization decides what more is needed. As I was explaining to you now about secret and top secret document and confidential documents, those things cannot lie around. It depends on what kind of information is it. Is this about personal information? Is this about medical information? If those things are being leaked out and taken out and being distributed somewhere, my friends, you are going to be in deep trouble. So the control of the documents is super, super, super important. So information explicitly required by the application of the ISO standard, and information the organization determines is necessary for management system effectiveness. As I was explaining now, it is just like passwords. It is so easy. You can have a whole list of the passwords and you can put it at your reception desk. Do you think that thing is going to be lying there? Everybody's going to take it. Everybody's eyes are going to be going in there because they are not supposed to see other people's passwords. And the same with medical documentation, the same with personal information. And then too little documentation is a lack of control. Too much documentation is an overload. Yes, it's an overload. You don't need to have so much documentation, really. If you have got the correct structure, and this is why it is so important that documentation that is not applicable anymore is discarded. It's gone. It's closed. You don't use it anymore. So why do you want to keep it? It just needs to be on the record that it is disposed of. 7.5.2 is about creating and updating. Firstly, identification, title, reference, version. So usually if you're looking at those things, you will see that identification is usually about a company's name first, CAA, like my company, Crest, CAA, dash, is it a policy? Is it a procedure? Yes, POL or PRD or SOP or letter as LET, then it is applicable on the control of it. Who can read it? And that can be everybody in the company or a specific group. And then you are going over into the numbering of it and then the version. So if you don't have a system of actually creating the identification numberings, please go and Google it, go and ChatGPT it. Really, it will give you fantastic options. Secondly, format. Is it in paper, digital, system-based? If it's paper, how do you distribute it? How do you keep control over that? How do you make sure that that document, where it is going to be lying somewhere, is going to be looked after as it was supposed to be looked after in the confidentiality part? And how do you destruct it? How do you get rid of it? Digital is the same process. And if you are working on specific drives, your computer, your C drive or my documents drive is not one of those. And then system-based. If that is system-based, that you've got a system that you are working with, a documentary management system, then everybody is working from the same hymn sheet. And that is actually the best, because paper, as I have referred earlier to, I was part of the government systems where we were working with secret and top secret documents. Top secret documents, if that is distributed, we were at that time having a stamp copy. This is the original. Then there's copy 1 is Nico has got that. Copy 2 is person X has got that. Copy 3 is person Y has got that. Copy 4, there's only 4 copies out. Who has got the copy? And when that document is being looked into, that you can actually see who got it. And if you want to recall it, you go to those 4 people and you ask, I want it back, please, to destroy it. Then number 3, review and approval. Very important here is that somebody is usually writing documents. It is junior people or mid-level people, but that document, before it is actually going into the whole business system, has to be reviewed by a person that has got knowledge about that specific subject. It doesn't help you to get a consultant from the outside or somebody that loves documentation and tell the person, write the document for me on access control in the ISO 27001 environment. That guy hasn't got a clue what he's talking about, and he hasn't got a clue what he's talking about in your business. So somebody in your business need to write it, and to review it the same. Somebody with that broader knowledge need to review it, and the approval is usually a departmental head, your CEO, depending on what is your rules in your business about your document management. And those approval levels need to be adhered to. And then 4th is authorized changes. So if there are changes to be made, there's usually a table in your document where you are actually identifying that on such and such a date, we have changed this. And this is now version 1.1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. Because if there's changes to the original document, it need to be reviewed and it need to be reissued. And the old document need to be taken back. This is exactly what the ISO standards are doing as well. You can go and check on ISO 27001. The new standard came out in 2022, and in that standard, it is actually stipulated that the 2013 standard is null and void. It is replacing the 2013 standard. So if you are working on the 2013 standard, good for you, but not good for the ISO systems. So you need to be working on the 2022 standard. So everything that you are doing need to be aligned with, if you're changing something, it need to be documented, and there need to be a record of it. And consistency matters more than sophistication. Absolutely. Every document needs to be in the same identification process, in the same format process, in the same approval process as defined in your documentation, and all the changes need to be documented correctly as well. A practical example here is identification. So as I was explaining to you, I would, in the first one here, I would just put my company's document abbreviation here, CAA-ISMS-policy-001. The format is then digital on the document management system. Approval is by the EXCO. The review is annual or biannual or every 2 years or 3 years. You will see here that operational documents are reviewed much quicker in the life cycle as what policies are actually changed, because the policy stayed the same for 2, 3, 4 years, depending on the company. But operational procedures, SOPs, that is changing. And then version control, whether it is version 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, it doesn't, you need to have this, everything in your environment and have control about that. Clause 7.5.3 is the control of documented information. And the audit hotspot here is always availability. In the standard, it says there, in all the standards, it says the availability, where and when it is needed. So if I, as the auditor, is looking for a document and you are in this audit, where and when it is needed. I need it now. Show me, please. And if I need to go to the people that is actually working with a document and check if they have got access to it, where and when they need it. So very important, availability. It cannot be a document that you are using on a day-to-day basis, but that document is not even on site. It is somewhere in a warehouse or in an archive. You cannot work like that. Secondly, access. Who has got access to that document? Which levels of the business has got access to that document? Is it only for the exco? Is it only for certain departments? Is it only for certain levels of the organization? I'm talking here about access for, if you're talking about HR things, executives usually has got a dispensation about bonuses, etc. And then your D levels has got their distribution or sorry, their bonus allocation, and those documents are only applicable on those people, not for everybody. It's only applicable for those. Now, if those kind of things are being leaked out, then you as a business are sitting with big problems. Distribution. Who are you going to distribute it to? Because if you are distributing it, you need to be able to get it back as well. So you need to understand who has got access through the distribution to that document. Storage. Where do you store it? Is it stored in an office here that is just next to the stairs that everybody has got access to it? Is it stored, if it is paper, is it stored digitally on a specific drive? Is it stored on SharePoint? Is it stored on your document management system? What and how are you doing that? Protection. How do you protect it? How is that protected with passwords, with everything, with confidentiality, with classification as well there? The retrieval. How do you retrieve it? A version 1, a version 2, a version 3. How do you retrieve that? And I'm talking here about paper, digital, as well as on the system itself. Retention. Retention is for how long after that policy has been replaced. Do you still keep it in your business? Some of these things are very legal documents, such as if there's injuries on a mine, or pollution or something, that 10 years afterwards a person is being diagnosed with lung cancer because he was working in an asbestos office or place or something, and that caused that. Now that is 10 years after he retired or is has now resigned or something. The retention on that is super important, because you need to make sure that there's no civil criminal cases or any other legal cases that is against the company on that specific person or that issue, or that incident. And then disposition. And you can see here, this is the whole life cycle. The whole life cycle, this disposition. How do you destroy it? Do you burn it? Do you shred it? Do you delete it? How do you go about the disposition on that? And then the right document, right person, right time, protected, retrievable, disposed correctly. Everything needs to be aligned with what you have placed in your documentation. The practical example here of 7.5 in action for ISO 27001 is firstly policies. The version control and access restrictions. Not everything is for everybody. The risk registers. The risk register is actually so important on your strategic level, on operational level, that not everybody can have access to it. There has to be a role-based access. Incident logs. Incident logs shows where your company is struggling because there's an incident there and you don't have control over that control. So the retention and audit trails, this is what I was talking about now with the cancer and the retention of it, and backup logs, integrity protection, backup. How do you backup? Because that is part and parcel of business continuity. And then auditors test access rights, latest versions, evidence of use. Are you using it, or is that document just lying there? It is not doing anything. And the protection measures. How are you managing and how are you working with a document? So documented information and writing everything down. ISO does not require you, firstly, for procedures for everything. Nope, it doesn't. You need to determine which procedures are necessary to guide and structure your business. Excessive manuals doesn't need that. But there is in cases where you need a manual. And then paper files. We don't need paper files, really. ISO requires evidence processes are defined and evidence processes are followed, and evidence outcomes are controlled. And a live system beats a perfect manual every time. Absolutely. If you've got a document management system, it works, really, because that document management system has been developed with everything that we are talking about here now. Everything. So when you are putting some documentation into the DMS, you will see that it is asking you, what is the next step? This is the next step. This is the next step. If you want to send it out, it is asking where's it going to. It keeps records of it. It keeps audit trails of everything. So documented information and risk, clause 6.1, super important here. So high risk information and low risk information. And high risk information need to have stricter access, longer defined retention periods, enhanced protection. This is what I was talking about, medical files, your personal files, those kind of things. That is your secret and the top secret environment there. Your low risk information is simpler access, proportionate retention, and lean controls. You don't have to classify everything as secret or top secret or confidential and only for a specific group. You don't need to do that. And then auditors dislike the same control for everything. People think it is so easy. I can have the same control for working with a printer, and I can have the same control working with a stapler. No, it's two different things. You are going to have two different injuries there. You are going to have two different liabilities there. You are going to have two different in everything there. So no classification logic as well. And classification logic is super important because there need to be rules about, and logic is actually rules. What kind of logic are you following here? What is the rules that you are following here? This is the same what you are also doing with your IT systems. There need to be a logic. When you click on your Outlook, there's a logic. Your inbox is there. You've got a send box there. You've got other files there. The logic is that you will see all your emails there in the inbox. That is your logic, and there has to be classification logic there as well. Also, on your emails, how are your emails classified? So the document information and legal and regulatory obligations. Firstly, data protection. Data protection is an international cross-global law, whether it is the GDPR, whether it is ISO 27701, whether it is the American data protection, whether it is the South African POPIA or the Zimbabwean system or Mozambican law, that needs to be complied with. And that is where your documentation need to have the correct logic that is actually speaking to your legal and regulatory environments. Retention. In certain cases, you can go and check on your country's Archiving Act. Our country's Archiving Act has got specific archiving rules about if there's anything to do with your taxes, it needs to be kept for 5 years. If there's anything to do with your medical things, that has to be kept for a certain amount of years, and your regulators will give you this. And this is really, if you go and look at your Archiving Act, you will see there. And then confidentiality, the restrictions on disclosure and access. Who can disclose that information and who has got access to that information? So very important. How do you classify that? As I was saying to you, we were working on the minimum information security standards for government that is implemented in every government organization, and that was in South Africa. It was actually issued in 1996. I was there in 1996, and we were part and parcel of the intelligence services that was actually guiding this. So that document, the MISS document, you can go and search it. It's a beautiful document, really. MISS, Minimum Information Security Standards, the MISS document of 1996. It is signed off by the Director of National Intelligence in South Africa, and that's applicable on every government department and every government document that is in circulation. So very important there, and it is giving you guidelines how to use faxes and emails and post and all those kind of things, and classification as well. So ISO expects alignment, not conflict. There doesn't have to be conflicting environments there at all. Evidence auditors typically request is firstly policies. Give me your policies, give me procedures. I will give you an example that I've been that I worked on when I was still in corporate, and you will see, I think it is a 2013 document. So policies, procedures, registers, logs, records of action, change histories. And how do you know that this is current, approved, and protected? It must be visible on the document, whether it is electronic signatures, everything there. I just want to go and show you this. This was my last master list of documents that I was actually working with when I was in corporate, and you can see there the date there is 2013-04-04. So this is when, as I said, this is my last document, and you can see there plans, policies, procedures, SOPs, job descriptions, everything, all 22 things that we were actually working with the classification, with the abbreviation as what it is. What is our reference numbers? Where is it on our document management system? The document management system that we were working on was EB, Electronic Bridge. That was the name of it. And how many documents are on there? How many is still in process? And even what is the cost of each document, or average cost? Because this is one of the biggest assets that you've got. And if you don't know what's the value of these things, my friends, you are just going to see it as paper or a digital document here. Now, if you can, this is where we calculated that costing there. Now, each of these, you will see there's my plans, there's my policies, my procedures, my SOPs, my job descriptions, my reports, instructions, communique, checklist, service level agreement, tender specifications, registers, general templates. And you can see there, this is templates that we've been using within the whole environment there. So I'm not going to, so this is, if you are doing this and you are giving that document to an auditor, my friends, you are going to have the most fantastic audit, really. Because then the first impression is, I have got control. I have done this, sir. Yes, I can see that you've got control of it and you are controlling everything from the change histories to the versions, etc. Common audit findings for clause 7.5. And this is straightforward from my mouth. Outdated documents in use. Don't give a document to an auditor or show a document to an auditor when that document is a historic document. Last year I was at an audit and one of the most important clauses, 4.1, the internal and external context analysis has to be done every year, every 2 years, depending on your environment. So, and these guys gave me a document that has already lapsed 4 months earlier. And my question is, why do you show it to me? Because that document is not applicable now. It's history. So please, outdated documents in use, uncontrolled copies. I was giving you the explanation of copy number 1, copy number 2, copy number 3. How do you keep control over those? If you don't have a management system, you cannot. Missing approvals or review evidence. You can also not give me a document that is not signed off. That's not a valid document, not for your company. It is a nice template. Yeah, you can use it. I don't want to see it as an auditor. Weak version control. And that is super important because your versions is applicable on your changes. If you are making changes there and you are evolving, you need to have good version control. And whether you are working with systems, you can go in, to my website at Crest Advisory Africa, and you can get a whole document there about version control. Specifically, in certain environments, how do you use version control? You will see that in the IT space, they are using version 3.1.1.27 or something, that they don't have to go. So that is a specific rule about version control. Access rights not aligned to roles. And then retention, disposal not defined. How do you destroy those things? Do you burn it? Do you incinerate it? How do you dispose of it? Do you pulp it? What do you do with it? So the practical implementation steps here is, firstly, identify the required documented information. And guys, I have explained to you already Xmind. If you don't have Xmind, get it for yourself, because this is actually mapping for yourself. What do you need to have there? And with Xmind, that is a mind mapping tool, you can actually go and build your whole environment there. And then you can start in saying, but hell, those documentation that you've got there is actually old. It is not applicable anymore. That documentation we need because we have got a gap there. So the ISO clauses, list them, document what you need to have there. Risks. What is your sources of required information on your risks? Because you are sitting with your strategic risk, you are sitting with your tactical risks, and you're sitting with operational risks. Then objectives, the same as with your risks. Objectives, you've got strategic objectives, tactical objectives, and operational objectives. And that is also actually cascaded down in your job descriptions. And then legal obligations. What is the legal obligations that you need to comply with? Because a regulator, if you don't have these things, they just pull your license. As easy as that, really. They give you a directive and they give you 10 days to do that. And then start with what must be evidenced, not with a list of documents. Please Go smoothly and slowly through the processes to understand what do you need there. You don't need a multitude of documents, really, but you need to have the critical documents. If you don't have the critical documents and control over that, you are losing big time. Classify your information. Now, classification, I've been speaking about it. So classification, whether it is in a name, a policy, a procedure, a record, evidence, or whether it is classification on the controls, on public, confidential, secret, top secret, and those kind of documents, classify it, please, because that policy document, usually a policy document is signed off by the CEO, not everybody else. A procedure has to do with what is happening in my department. In my department, I am responsible for risk management, and everything to do with risk management, I am writing and it has been signed off. And if it needs to go to the CEO or the board, it will go there. But this needs to be defined in your document control management document. Records is your record of I had a meeting, record of even this thing, this webinar that we are doing now. There's a record of it. There's a record of this on YouTube. There's a record of it in your diary. There's a link to it. And then evidence. Evidence is where people are signing. Just remember, evidence and a template are two different things. A template is a blank document. Evidence is where somebody has signed it. They have signed in, they have signed out, they were attending this meeting, they were attending that meeting. If that person is claiming any kind of thing, expenses for attending that meeting, but that person was not at that meeting, that's fraud. So evidence and classification drives the level of control that you need to have. Then step 3, define the controls. Access. Who may view or change it? Versioning. Which version is authoritative? Is it the first one, the second one, the third one? Which one is the correct one to use? And retention, how long must it be kept? 2 years, 3 years, 4 years? What does the law say? What does the regulator say? What does your Archiving Act say? And what does your business say internally? So control intensity should reflect risk and obligation. And then step 4 is implement and record. Create, approve, use, record, and trace. Everything must be traceable. That document must be traceable. If you are sending it out, it must be traceable. And there must be records of it. So digital control reduces human error. And guys, it is so important that with digitalization, that you are actually moving away from paper. Paper is a problem. And then periodically reviewed, after it has been approved, is it still relevant? Or is it obsolete? Or is it current? How young or how old is that document? Is it still applicable and is it still relevant? And is it obsolete? If it's obsolete, get rid of it. Remove obsolete information. Auditors love that, but you need to show me the evidence of that. You need to show that you have made a choice to say that that document is obsolete. Clause 7.5 as an integrated system. Just remember, you are working with one documentation framework, and you can have various systems that is actually integrated with us, whether it is 9001, 37301, that is the compliance system, doesn't matter. Clause 7.5 is where integration becomes efficient. So you don't have to have one document for each one of those according to the standards. No, integration means integration. One document for the 4 standards. And then the strategic value of clause 7.5, organizational memory. Just remember, this is your knowledge. You protect your knowledge. Secondly, governance and assurance. This strengthens your control. Audit efficiency. Find evidence faster. If you cannot find evidence in front of an auditor, you are killing yourself, really. Digital transformation enables trusted systems. And then operational risk reduces failure and ambiguity. And in mature organizations, documented information is a strategic asset, not an administrative burden. Really, it's a strategic asset. So if it isn't controlled, this is my closing thought. If it isn't controlled, it isn't reliable. And ISO does not demand more documents. It demands better information. And with that, everybody, are there any questions? If there's questions, please post it or send it to me on email or WhatsApp. I will answer you gladly. Really. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for that. All right. So if you want to have a template on the a master list of documents, please send me a request, as I said, on WhatsApp or on the email, and I will gladly give you a template on that. And with that, everybody, thank you very much and have a super Thursday. I will post this on YouTube when it is downloaded. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Sipho.